For a century, psychologists insisted that extremely high IQ minds were either fragile prodigies or unstoppable geniuses. But after tracking over 1,500 termites and thousands of modern Mensa members, the real habits and struggles of high IQ people defied every expectation. So why did psychology get the daily lives of high IQ people so wrong for decades? And what happens when myth collides with messy reality? Picture the classic genius starter pack, a kid in a dim room surrounded by science trophies, 3 glowing monitors, and a half-finished bottle of energy drink. Every family has an Alex, the one who aces every test, corrects your grammar at dinner, and somehow still walks into a room and forgets why. The label arrives early: gifted, prodigy, future Nobel winner. Suddenly, Alex's hobbies, quirks, even mistakes get filtered through the lens of genius. Lose your keys? That is just absent-minded brilliance. Get bored in class? Clearly the school system cannot keep up. For decades, schools tried to bottle this lightning with gifted and talented tracks. By the 1980s, nearly every district in the US had some version of a fast lane for kids like Alex, a quick fix that promised to turn raw IQ into world-changing achievement. Parents signed up for test prep, teachers handed out gifted folders, and kids got pulled out of class for logic puzzles and extra math. The unspoken rule was, if you are smart enough, life should be easy. Pop culture kept fueling the myth. Genius was supposed to be obvious, either a misunderstood loner, a quirky rebel, or the next tech billionaire. High IQ became a personality type, not just a test score. If Alex struggled with small talk, people said that is just how smart people are. If they aced a spelling bee but melted down over group projects, that was genius too. But what if the real habits of high IQ minds have less to do with knowing everything, and more to do with how they handle not knowing? The stereotypes set the bar, but the reality is more complicated. Louis Terman, a Stanford psychologist in the 1920s, set out to track what happened to kids with sky-high IQs. He gathered a group of about 1,528 California children, all scoring at least 135 on early intelligence tests. This group, called Termites, were followed for decades, with their lives mapped in detail, including grades, jobs, marriages, and health records. Terman's hope was to find the next batch of world-changing geniuses. What he actually found was something more ordinary and a lot more interesting. The majority of termites grew up to be, well, pretty normal adults. Most finished college, and many earned advanced degrees. They landed professional jobs as doctors, engineers, teachers, and managers at rates much higher than the general public. Their physical health was better than average, and they tended to live longer as well. Instead of a parade of tortured prodigies, the Terman study produced a wave of solid middle-class stability, with steady careers, marriages, kids, and mortgages. A handful became famous scientists or writers, but most lived lives that looked a lot like their neighbors, just with a few more books on the shelf. There were challenges. Some termites described the gifted label as a double-edged sword. Letters and interviews reveal pride, but also pressure. A feeling they had to live up to early promise. A few struggled with perfectionism or felt guilty for leading average lives. Still, rates of divorce or mental health issues were not dramatically higher than their peers once you accounted for background. Terman's large study showed high IQ did not doom anyone to isolation or misery. For most, it meant a boost in opportunity and health, not a guarantee of genius or tragedy. In 2018, psychologist Ruth Karpinski and her team surveyed more than 3,700 Mensa members, each with an IQ above 130. The results landed like a plot twist. Compared to national averages, these high IQ adults reported much higher rates of anxiety, depression, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, autism spectrum traits, and even allergies and autoimmune problems. Mood and anxiety issues ran nearly double the general population. Attention difficulties and autism spectrum traits showed up more often as well. Even physical symptoms, like allergies and asthma, were reported at higher rates. Karpinski called this the hyperbrain and hyperbody effect, the idea that a brain wired for rapid, complex thinking might also come with a body that is more sensitive to stress and immune triggers. The theory goes like this: a high-powered mind runs more simulations, more what-ifs, more mental loops. That can be great for solving problems, but it also means more chances to worry, ruminate, or stress out over every possible outcome. Over time, the body can start to show the wear and tear, trouble sleeping, headaches, or immune flare-ups that seem to come out of nowhere. Not everyone buys the hyperbrain and hyperbody story. Critics point out that Mensa is a self-selected club. People who join, and especially those who answer mental health surveys, might already feel different, anxious, or isolated. Plus, these are self-reported diagnoses, not clinical assessments. Still, the pattern is hard to ignore. In some high IQ circles, the same brain power that fuels insight and innovation can also leave people more vulnerable to stress and overthinking. For anyone who has ever felt like their mind is racing ahead while their body hits the brakes, the research offers a clue. Maybe it is not just you. Maybe it is the way some high-octane engines are built. Start with the real checklist. What do high IQ minds actually do differently, day to day? Forget the idea that IQ is some kind of magic badge. The science says it is more like having extra RAM and a few bonus browser tabs open at all times. Meta-analyses, for example, Anglim and colleagues' 2022 review, show high IQ links most strongly with openness to experience. That means more curiosity, more attraction to novelty, and a love of complexity. But there is no guarantee of emotional balance or perfect self-control. So, what patterns show up most often? First, the hyper-focused deep dive. Alex sits down to check one fact and resurfaces 3 hours later, now an expert on Roman Empire plumbing. High working memory lets them juggle more ideas at once, so they can follow a thread through Wikipedia, podcasts, and a dozen open tabs without losing the plot. This is not just multitasking. It is a kind of immersive flow that feels like play, until you realize you skipped lunch and forgot your keys again. Then there is the curiosity loop. Always one more question, one more article, one more rabbit hole. This can be a superpower for learning, but it also risks the classic trap of analysis paralysis, where too many options freeze decision-making. Alex is not just distracted. They are running mental simulations and weighing every angle, sometimes to the point of exhaustion. These habits are not universal, but they are common enough that researchers use them as a kind of unofficial taxonomy. Some high IQ people lean into strategic solitude, carving out quiet time to think. Others turn feelings into spreadsheets, analyzing emotions as if they were logic puzzles. If you see yourself in any of these patterns, you are not alone. The habits of high IQ minds are less about being a know-it-all and more about navigating a world that often moves at a different speed than your brain. Alicia and Ben both started out with IQ scores above 140, but their stories split the moment life stopped handing out gold stars for being clever. Alicia was told from childhood that she was destined for greatness. She breezed through school. By college, she could code all night, debate philosophy, and still win awards. The message was always the same: you are smart, you will figure it out. No one ever taught her how to set boundaries or take a break. By her 30s, Alicia's deep dives turned into 12-hour workdays, emails at midnight, and a calendar that looked like a losing game of Tetris. Burnout was not a possibility, it was a guarantee. Despite her raw horsepower, Alicia's engine kept overheating and her creativity stalled out. One patent, one book chapter, and a pile of unfinished side projects. Ben's path looked similar at first. same test scores, same gifted label, but with one key difference: mentorship. In high school, his math teacher gave him harder problems and showed him how to time box his focus. College mentors pushed him to join research teams, not just ace exams. He learned early that even the fastest brain needs pit stops. Ben built routines: deep work in the morning, walks at lunch, real weekends off. When stress spiked, he named it and moved on instead of spiraling. By age 40, Ben had shipped 3 products, co-authored 6 papers, and still had friends to call on Friday night. The SMPY study tracked thousands like him. Those who got early challenge and guidance filed 3 times as many patents as their equally smart but unmentored peers. Meanwhile, the Dunedin study found that childhood self-control, habits not just smarts, predicted adult health and wealth better than IQ alone. Alicia and Ben had the same engine, but only one learned how to drive it without burning out. Right now, nearly 1 in 50 people scores above an IQ of 130, and every day workplaces and classrooms overlook what habits can unlock or waste that potential. Intelligence is not destiny. It is the starting line. The question is, who is actually in the driver's seat? Let me know your thoughts below.